I feel like I'm just so excited for all the books in this TBR. Hi everyone! Oh my gosh, I am so excited. Today we are going to be covering my bloomin TBR. I love how that cat sounds like a curse. It's my bloomin TBR. And this is hosted by Kirstea on YouTube and allyvee, also on YouTube. I'll link down there TBRs and explanation videos so you guys can go check them out. They're really sweet and just lovely. Kirstea was one of my first booktube friends and she's just amazing, and I'm so happy to be participating in something that her and Ali have created. This one has a lot of prompts, and I have gotten a book for each prompt. I'm fully aware I'm not going to be reading 25 books in November. That's not going to happen. Also, the prompts in this readathon are just so cute, so sweet. There's like the artwork, which I'll just chuck up here, is like honestly adorable. I know Ali did that, so like congrats. Let's get into it. Okay, the first book is for the B prompt. So B is a book that has a lot of buzz around it. So what I have for that one is a book that my lovely friend Mackenzie have lent me, and that is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. Didn't even know her name. This cover is like iconic. I feel like a lot of people have been raving about it and reading a lot of these like horror books with girls on them. So to pay homage to that trend that is happening at the moment, I thought I'd read this book. Also because I don't know anything about this book at all. Like, I know that there is a mystery element. I think someone goes missing and then returns, very like Pretty Little Liars. Is that what Pretty Little Liars is about? I haven't watched it. Because I didn't know much about it, I didn't want to put it in any other category in case I was wrong, but I know this book is really popular. Okay, so the next prompt is Cloud, and this is a book that will make you emotional, and it doesn't take me much to get emotional. A lot of books make me emotional. I'm a very emotional person. And for this one, I picked up Yoke, and this one is by Mary H.K. Choi. So this one is about both physical and mental illness and kind of the impacts of both those things on this family dynamic and the sister dynamic. So I'm like excited to get into it, but also like very terrified. The next book is Sun, which is a happy book, which completely contrasts the last prompt. And for that one, I chose Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Like her books, Cassandra Clare, they just make me happy, and this one also has Will Herondale in it. Will Herondale is like the bookish love of my life. I love him so much, and he's just sweet, and he is like dad. He is dad. He is a dad in this. I'm not even like fetishizing him. He is a dad in this book. I assume it's gonna also make me sad because I cried in the first Lady Midnight book. But I think overall, me like returning to the Shadowhunter realm, returning to kind of a new family, like a family, like old friends kind of thing, will make me really happy. The next prompt is Moon, and this is like We All Live Under the Same Moon, essentially a book that is set in a different country than what you live. Now this prompt is not hard for me because I live in Australia, and there is literally like not many like at least popular books written by Australian authors, and definitely not a lot set in Australia. We are very big writers of like dystopias, and considering that, that means that dystopias aren't generally set in Australia either. They're set in like a dystopic future. All the books on this TBR, I am sure, is set in a different country, except for maybe Marcus Zuzak's, spoiler alert. Sally Rooney, Beautiful Whoever Are You, the special edition? Okay, but I have no clue what this book is about. I just know that I absolutely loved Normal People, wasn't a big fan of Conversations with Friends, but I think that Sally Rooney is getting better with every single book she's writing, so I have high expectations for this book, and this book is set in Ireland, which is actually where Kirstea lives. So I want to read this book in like a time where I really want to read it and I know I'm going to enjoy it and I have the time to just envelop it into my brain. But that day's never going to come, Grace. Grace, this is a PSA. That day's never going to come. Just read the darn book. But yeah, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it. And I'm so excited to read this. I'm so ready. So, Tree. So Tree is like the tree of knowledge. Tree is the next prompt. And that is basically a non-fiction book. And those of you who have been following me know that I've been reading a non-fiction book for the past 3 months, and I just, hello. And that is The Power of Now. Like, I'm not that far through. But yeah, so this is my non-fiction read. Hopefully I'll finish it and it won't take me 6 months to read a self-help book. Does that tell you how much I'm prioritizing my mental health? Oh, next is Daffodil, and this is a book featuring friendship. So for this one, I had to actually venture off my physical TBR and go into like my Goodreads TBR, like the books I really want to buy. That one is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. For those of you who read Fangirl, it's the actual fanfiction that Kath wrote in Fangirl, and I adore Fangirl. It's so sweet and cozy and lovely, and so I'm really hoping that this book is like also sweet and cozy and lovely. And also friendship. I chose it for friendship because I feel like there is probably a lot more than like the main romance happening in this book. I'm not going to be like those historians though who are like, oh yes, they were Achilles and Patroclus. They were just really good friends who got buried beside each other. They're just really good friends. And Sappho and her girlfriend, very good friends. Oh, and Cacti. So Cacti is a short book or a novella, and this book I actually found because I was reading Boy Parts and I wanted to know what other books the publishing house had published. And this book is The Country Will Bring Us No Peace. It's about a 150-page novel, and it's about two parents who, to my knowledge, lose their child and they escape to the country to kind of reconcile and heal from this experience, but it's kind of explaining whether running away from the problem or going on this retreat is actually assisting them in healing. I'm actually really excited for this one. This looks really good and the cover is stunning. Next is Variegated, which is like the variegated fern, and for this one it's the opposite of the buzz space. So it's like a book that isn't popular, has like not many ratings on Goodreads, and when I checked, this book had I think 90 ratings on Goodreads. This book is The Nazis Knew My Name, and it is a memoir about a woman who was, I think, like an administration assistant, like a Jewish administration assistant in one of the labor camps, and how she saved a lot of people while she was being an administrator in this camp. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, and honestly I found out just because it popped up, I think, in my Booktopia recommendations. I feel like I'm just so excited for all the books in this TBR. Next is Propagation, which is an adaptation space. So propagation is like when you clip off a plant and then you make it into another plant. For that space I have The Witcher by Andrzej Sapkowski. This book is a fantasy, and I don't know much else about it apart from the fact that it initially was Russian and then got translated into English and then was turned into a video game and also was recently a Netflix series. So I think that I have overachieved on this space. Try to beat me. I was good. I even got the movie cover. Like, I went above and beyond for this particular prompt. Next is Spider, which is like a dark book. So for dark book, I chose some dark academia. I don't think I've ever read dark academia before, so I thought, you know, instead of like easing myself into dark academia, I'd just go straight for the hard stuff. So this is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I know that this is a murder mystery, so someone essentially dies and then it kind of explores their death through classics. I know that a lot of the characters in here aren't very kind, but I'm willing to read it. I'm willing to kind of get into it. I'm actually really excited. You know what I'm not excited for though? This book is 630 pages long. This book's 630 pages long. So this is a 630 page book. This is The Secret History. Why? Why is this so much shorter? Why have they, like, I'm gonna read a 600 page book and look like I'm reading a 600 page book. I don't want to read like, this looks like a 300 to 400 page book. I'm not getting the credit that I need for reading a 600 page book when it is this skinny. Next is Lotus, which is a disability book. So I kind of focused on mental health for this one, and I know I could also use yoke, but I went for The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I really don't know much about this, but I know that Sylvia Plath had depression, I think, and that The Bell Jar is kind of like autobiographical. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm really just speaking out of my ass at the moment. I could be wrong and I might have to change this one, and if I do, I'm going to just integrate yolk. Next one is Succulent, and this is something that like makes you hot, like spicy, steamy. It could be like smart, it could be like angry, or it could be, as I have interpreted it, a literal book with fire on the cover. This is I think I'm overachieving again. I don't know if this will make me angry. I know the last Patrick Ness book made me a little angry because I just didn't understand it, but I really loved The Knife and Never Letting Go, and I really loved More Than This, so I'm really hoping that this book also falls into that. And I'm honestly, to summarize this book, I'm just going to read a part of the blurb because it made me chuckle. Casimir knows something she doesn't. He has arrived at the farm because of a prophecy that involves a deadly assassin, a cult of dragon worshippers, 2 FBI agents, and somehow Sarah Dewhurst herself, which just sounds so exciting. Oh my gosh, and now I like want to read it now. The next one is Free Space. I couldn't find a category for this book and I really do want to read it, so I recently borrowed from my library Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, and this is set in 3 different time periods. So it's set in Constantinople, I think in World War II, it's set in 2020, and then it is also set in the future, probably around 2050 is my guess, although I'm not too sure. I'm enjoying the 1 chapter of Ride I've had and I want to incorporate this into this readathon, but I couldn't find it anywhere else to put it because I haven't heard a lot about it, you know what I mean? And I don't know a lot about it. Next is the Lily Space, which deals with like grief and death, and for that one I chose Salt to the Sea by Ruta. This is another one that I'm going to have to like buy from the bookstore, but I've wanted to read this book since I've read Between Shades of Grey. I believe this is about a shipwreck that had just as many deaths as Titanic, but obviously isn't as widely spoken about. And that's all I know about it. And I'm excited, but obviously a lot of death because a shipwreck. Next is Snail, and this is a slow-paced book. And if you want to know something about me, it's that I really don't like slow-paced books. My attention span is short and always has been in book-wise. Like I remember I read Narnia, The Boy and His Horse, and I went, this is just a guy traveling across the desert, and I couldn't care less. I really just, like, I don't bloody care if the horse is bloody the king of Egypt. I just don't care. Too slow paced for me. I don't know if I'm going to read this book, but I did go on Storygraph to see which was the most slow paced book I have, and it was Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zuzak. I also have no clue what this book is about. So again, it's like a family relationship thing. So this family has been fractured, their father left them and their mother has died. Very fun and non-traumatic stuff in all these books apparently, but it is about the child whose name is Clay, and he's trying to form a bridge between the rest of his family after this loss of both their parental figures. I'm very intrigued. Next is Water, and this is an author that you are excited to read more of, and so for this one I also chose a self-help book just behind me. I read Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck in 2019 for the first time, and I've since read it like 2.5 more times. It's a self-help book that I need. I've annotated it a lot with a lot of different colors, and I've kind of had a lot of insight in this book because I think sometimes you really just need to be told to get over yourself. And rather than like the spiritualism in a lot of self-help books, this book is like, no, just choose to not worry about things and choose what you care about. So I also want to read his other book, which is Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. And this book came out, I think, just before the pandemic, so it's not obviously going to include stuff about coronavirus, but I'm really, really interested in what else he can say. This seems more about the state of the world, and considering that the state of the world isn't great for the most part, most of the time, I'm intrigued to what he has to say about it and what kind of positive but like comedic spin he has, because doing my social sciences courses really doesn't make me happy. The next book I'm going to read is for the Fertilizer space, and this is a book that will nourish your soul. So I'm reading this with Books with M on YouTube, and we're having like a fantastic time reading it. So this book will nourish my soul for many reasons. I'm also not that far through, but it will nourish my soul for many reasons. So one, because dragons just nourish the soul. There's not enough dragon inclusion in fantasy books anymore. And then also because there is some fruity romance happening in here currently, and it warms my soul and I want it to continue to do so. And then further, I'm buddy reading it. So like that just makes everything happier and more cozy and more like, it just makes it a really good experience, and I'm really enjoying buddy reading this, especially because it's like a monolith and I don't know how much motivation I would have to continue reading. I'm making a stack, and the stack is going to inevitably like come up into the frame. Oh, next is Green Carnation. So Green Carnation is a book that has like LGBTQI plus rep. Now for this book, I'm going to do The Heart's Invisible Furies. This is a book that I bought my mum for her birthday, and she really enjoyed it. She said it was about the experience of being gay in Ireland. I don't know what time period, but essentially that's what the book is about. So I was like, wow, that sounds like it would fit this prompt perfectly. So I might just snatch the birthday gift back off her like the good daughter I am, and then give it back after I finished it, because it sounds funny as well, but also like depressing. Apparently it's being compared to A Little Life, but I think it's just because of the LGBTQ themes, you know? Next is Tulip, which is a book that you love, that features love, or a book that you think you'll love. And that is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. So I read Strange the Dreamer. I've read it twice and I've enjoyed it both times, and I'm really worried that I'm going to wait another year or two to read this book and then forget everything that happened in Strange the Dreamer again, and then have to reread Strange the Dreamer, and then wait another 2 years, and then the cycle continues. But I know I'm going to love this book because the relationships in this book like really just warm my heart, and the kind of magic dynamic was really good, and there's also a romance in there, I think. Like, to be fair, when we finished the second book, we weren't on like good footing for the continuation of a romance, I'll be honest. But I'm hoping, and I'm thinking, because it's a duology, this is going to have a happy romantic ending. So I'm really just being a prophecy teller with this book. Next is Ladybug, and this is a book that is like really pretty and cute on the cover, but will ruin your life. And for that one, I chose November 9 by Colleen Hoover because the cover is actually really pretty. I actually really enjoy this cover. It has like a lot of layers, not just layers of paper, but actual layers of imagery, actually, says my very vast knowledge on graphic design. But yeah, so it's really like pretty cover, but I know that this book is going to make me cry. But also it's set on November 9th. So it'd be cool if I read November 9th on November 9th. And that is my goal currently. I think it's about a couple that meet on November 9th every single year, and kind of the development of their relationship from there. I think. I'm pretty sure I'm correct with that one. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Next one is Root, and this is a book that brings you back to your roots, and I'm... Okay. Okay. So this is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater, and this is the first Maggie Stiefvater book that I ever picked up, ever. And I am getting delivered a special edition of this book if COVID doesn't ruin delivery from America. But if all goes well, I'm getting a special edition of this book next month, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get it because this is like the first Maggie Stiefvater book, and if you've watched my channel, you know how much she means to me. So in celebration of that, I'm going to read this book. This book is about kind of like, I don't know if you guys know the Mama Cup, but it's a horse race that happens every single year across the span of November, and it's like these fantastical water horses that come out of the water, they pair up with a rider, and then they race the horse. But this is a very dangerous thing, but if you win it, you get like riches and money, and there's obviously some motivation to win it. It's not just like, join this race, you die or you don't die, but there's like actual, you know, repercussions and rewards for winning. And the thing that marketed me, despite the fact my birthday's in November, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a Scorpio, I want this book. But it says, it is the first day of November, and so today someone will die. Is that not just the best tagline of a book ever? Next is Earth, and this is a book that was published or takes place before 1990. And for this one is a book that I said I was going to finish in October, and I didn't because I got big fat spooked. But I do plan on finishing Pet Sematary in November. I'm about 50% through. So this book is Pet Sematary. It is essentially about this family that moved to Maine, and they discover this pet cemetery, and as the plot kind of progresses, they realize that maybe this pet cemetery is actually a little more than a pet cemetery, hence the creepy imagery. But yeah, I literally I'm going to make a vlog on this, but I've read a part and now I'm terrified and don't want to continue reading, but we'll get into that one later, okay? Okay, so the next one is Ivy, and this is the highest rated book on your shelf, and currently it's at the bottom of the stack, so I'm not going to hold it up again, but this is Chain of Gold. Okay, Dandelion, and Dandelion is a book that you cannot get rid of. Like, it just follows you around everywhere, and you haven't got the chance to read it, and just like, I want to get rid of it, I want to get those weeds out of my life. It is The Handmaid's Tale, and it has been on my TBR because my friend gifted it to me around school years, like 2018, and I just haven't gotten to it. It's just been sitting there, and I know that I'll enjoy this book because I love dystopians. I love Margaret Atwood, like, as a person. Like, her interviews are just so funny. She's so intelligent and just humorous, and I really, that's a body part. Handmaid's Tale is a dystopia that takes inspiration from real life things that have happened to women globally and kind of compacts them into this really like horrible, horrific society. My camera just went out of charge, so I just went out, got a COVID test, ordered lunch, the whole shebang. And now I'm back to kind of finalize the final prompt, which is Mole. And Mole is a book with a really like strong antagonist, and like, Am I looking for a loophole for this one? Probably. Probably. Because I didn't really have like another option. So I chose A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery. This book is about the poverty and like the class system that is currently, or the caste system I believe, in India. And I was like, strong antagonist. What is a stronger antagonist than social injustice? Do you think I can carry all these books?
Don't do that.
I have left my bookshelves to ruin. There is not many books on there anymore because I, to be honest, have incorporated most of my TBR into this month. Wish me luck. Probably won't read 25 books in 30 days, but you know, maybe. Not like there's like 3 600-page books on this list or anything. Oh. Anyways, have a lovely day, lovely afternoon, lovely morning, lovely life, lovely November, and I hope that you guys keep on reading. Bye!